Kind of explain why there has not been any stream up for the last 2 Wednesdays. I travel a lot for work, and I am currently out of town. And the 2 Wednesdays ago, that episode, found out that the hotel I was just checking in that day, and they were having some serious internet problems. So we didn't have any internet to work with to be able to have a game at all. So we had to cancel the game for that Wednesday. Then this last Wednesday, finally had the internet back. However, run across another problem. That problem being that apparently my laptop is not powerful enough to support all the video feeds coming in from my players so that I can actually stream a game or even record it for that matter. It's just too much memory, too much stuff going on. My laptop can't handle it. So, that being said, what I'm going to do is we did end up having... Oh, sorry about that, my phone making noise. We did end up having a game last week, but we weren't able to record it or stream it. So I'm going to give you kind of an overview of what happened last week. Additionally, we'll have to be doing the same for next week because I will still be out of town and don't have access to my desktop with the processing power it needs to be able to stream, record, etc. So, you know all about that. So here's what happened this last session. The players had left off. They had been fighting a camp that had a bunch of goblins and orcs in it, and they managed to come out of that triumphant and then find a little bit of loot. So that was able to help them out a little financially, and I'll post up a little bit more about the items they found for anyone who cares to follow the stream. After that, they returned to the grove that they had been in, where the strange draconic-like creature that was sitting on a stump had asked them for the favor of going and taking care of this nuisance in their forest in exchange for transportation safely across the river. Well, when they got back to the grove, they began to question this draconic creature a little bit, at which point its form changed, and it revealed its true form, which seemed to be that of a creature no bigger than a halfling, with elven features, wings, and moss-like hair, the green tint to its skin, wearing things made of vines and leaves and other forest flora. And it said to them that it would indeed keep its end of the bargain and make sure they had safe passage across. However, while most of the party was off doing their end of the bargain for this creature, Dalian and Father Dimspoon stayed behind, where Dalian conversation. Sorry again about all these notifications. Of course, they're coming in right when I choose to record a video, even though my phone's been silent for like the past hour. Now is when it's time to do stuff. But Dalian and Father Dimspoon had remained behind in the grove, and Dalian had a conversation with this creature, and I'll post information about what that conversation was. That one was handled offline to the side. But the creature then did as it was promised and had its forest friends, a bear, 2 badgers, some giant owls, and what the party had determined was some kind of nymph, take them all the way to a new destination, or a new place, I should say. When they arrived, they found themselves at the edge of the river, on the same side of the river where they were starting, but there was a tunnel before them, and that tunnel appeared to go underneath the river. The creatures vanished back into the forest, and they were left there, deciding what to do next. They inevitably decided, hey, let's go ahead and see where this tunnel leads, and it appears to take us underneath the river, so let's just assume that and see if we can get there. They began to go down it, which it started leading them down, pretty deep, and then eventually leveled off, at which point they began to hear some noises up ahead, and upon investigating, found two ogres arguing over something. When the ogres noticed them, as they made their presence known to the ogres immediately turned around to them and demanded payment for allowing them to use their tunnels to cross the river. The party initially seemed very reluctant, which angered the ogres, who then attacked them. However, instead of attacking back, the party, who had suffered a couple very serious blows, Oak taking a huge club to the chest and Zoran a javelin to the stomach, they instead restrained themselves and managed to persuade these ogres that, yes, here, we will give you something, a dagger that Oak had offered, but we will come back with more, much, much more, we promise. And the ogres, being the intelligent creatures that they are, decided, oh, that sounds great, and they allowed them to continue on. So the party managed to make it safely through the tunnel out the other side, even though they were pretty heavily wounded, a few of them. Upon camping for the night, however, due to the events that happened in the tunnel, there had been some strife created between some of the party members, particularly between Dalian and Oak. And Dalian pretty much separated herself from the group for a while. Oak, at the same time, was pretty distraught by everything that had happened and decided to kind of back within themselves, be a little bit more introverted and submissive. It was actually very silent for the majority of the travel for their next few days as they continued their journey towards Asteron, but with very little talking. Fortunately, they did not have anything other than some slightly difficult terrain to deal with. Nothing approached them. They did not come across any strange or dangerous creatures, and it was a rather pleasant and easy, if quiet, walk. However, after a few days, thanks to some efforts by Father Dimspoon, conversation did begin to flow again through most of the party, especially little Rhea, who seemed to not be as affected by the goings-on and was her usual bubbly, curious self, and she continued to spread the symbol of her goddess Ilona by carving it into trees as they traveled. Eventually, a few days down the road, they came across, on the horizon, the sparkling towers as sun glinted off the city of Asteron. Approaching the evening, they finally came close to the gates, where they discovered how immense the city was, with 50-foot tall walls and a huge wooden and iron gate. As they approached, the guards were waving people in, as it was apparent that they were beginning to close the gate for the evening, and anyone that was going to come in better hurry up. So the party, Oak reluctantly, who prefers the outdoors to the hustle and bustle of a city, decided to enter the city, where the doors were closed behind them, and the sun was setting over the horizon. There were torches and lanterns and things hung along the main thoroughfares, providing some light through the city and through the streets, and they began to make their way towards what appeared to be a tavern or an inn that was a few blocks down the way from where they were currently had entered the city. As they were heading that way, Dalian had the idea of trying to get them free lodging and attempted to use one of her contacts that should be within the city somewhere and sent out a whistle. Surprisingly, in a very short order, she got a response, which led the party down an alleyway. As Dalian, leading the pack in this endeavor, was moving down this darkened alleyway and the party trailing behind her, a figure stepped forth from the shadows, revealing a relatively young and handsome man who Dalian instantly recognized. This is Songbird, someone from her past, and her demeanor immediately changed from being very self-centered and a bit off-putting to the others in the group, to as giddy as a little schoolgirl who had seen their crush appear before them, and she ran and threw her arms around this young man. Eventually, he led them to another inn, one quite a ways away, as they meandered through darkened alleys and everything to come out on a more traveled street within the city, to see across from them a tavern 2 stories tall with a sign out front that had a single feather carved into it. As they entered, Songbird told them that this inn was something that he owned, and he would provide them with free food and lodging, at least for the night. The party got situated in their rooms, and food was eventually sent to be ordered, and Songbird departed from the group with a promise to explain in more detail what was going on to Dalian. As he left and the door closed behind, poor Rhea, all of a sudden not feeling so well, tapped Oak on the shoulder and then quickly fainted, unconscious on the ground. Oak gently picked up young Rhea, placed her in the bed, and covered her with a blanket so that she could rest. They had seen this once before, as she had slept for several days on their initial journey from the road, when they were coming out of West Shore. And that was where we ended that session. Next week, that is where we will pick up, and we will see where the party goes from there. Now, hopefully this was enough of a little bit of information for you guys that you will be able to kind of keep up with what the adventurers are doing and the story so far, and hopefully it will keep you intrigued enough to continue to watch our streams. Even when we're unable to put some out, I will continue to put out videos like this just so that everyone gets a chance to get caught up with the story. I will also put out the information on any little side stories that happen, like one-on-one with characters, with Zoran, Dalian, Oak, I can see, etc. But those will mostly be in typed up format on here or on our Facebook site. And for any of those who are watching on YouTube this video, if you've enjoyed the series so far and what's been going on, please give us a subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of future videos as soon as they come up. For those of you who are watching these streams, please, if you like what you see, we'd love if you gave us a follow. And hopefully in the future, if this stream gets popular and we're able to start getting maybe some sponsors or bringing in some money, maybe I'll be able to get a laptop that can handle streaming when I'm on the road, in which case, if I can do that, absolutely, that'll make sure that we've actually got sessions happening every week as opposed to what we're dealing with right now. So once again, a reminder, next week there will be no stream because I will still be on the road. I will, however, be back home after that, so you can expect a stream then. Additionally, just another reminder that on October 5th, which I believe is Saturday, at around noon, I plan on having a stream called In the Beginning. It'll be the start of that stream, which is going to be all about prepping for a first adventure, first campaign, or it could even be subsequent campaigns for beginner DMs, or even anyone who just wants to look and chat with me and ask questions on the chat and get some advice and tips. I'll be covering things like character development, world building, creating encounters, coming up with story ideas, what to do when you get stuck, all sorts of things. And as mentioned, feel free to join on that stream, put things in the chat, you can ask questions, I'll have the chat window open, and I will do my best to answer any of your questions that you guys have. So, until next week, right around this time next week, I will post the short update of what happened during Wednesday's adventure, and I hope you guys join us for that. I'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks for watching our channel. Bye.